I've survived 8 months in jail and 15 in a prison hospital for the criminally insane hidden in the boondocks upstate, and now I am escorted downstate to Creedmoor in the center of the suburban serenity of Queens Village, New York. It is unsettling and ironic. I remember taking drives with Mom when I was very young and her pointing to the huge building from the Grand Central Parkway, stating, "Do you see that big building over there? That's where they keep all the crazy people." She said this with such dread that I knew this was someplace I didn't want to be. And yet, here I am, cruising down the off-ramp, being driven past the Gothic surrounding gates onto the grounds, to that building, to reside. Hopefully for just a short while. I can tell already from the New York State van as we idle outside the police outpost of the hospital, where I assume they will be informed of my arrival and my offense, that this place is looser than Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center, a facility for the criminally insane where I was committed for a little over a year. People who look like mental patients are walking the grounds. And what sprawling grounds they are. The green seems to go on forever in all directions. How could such a beautiful-looking place have such a bad reputation? But a further tour of the grounds, after we get lost on several unmarked streets and winding pathways, reveals long abandoned buildings constructed in an era when aesthetics was not the main concern. They look like what I imagined buildings in an asylum would look like, with heavy doors and barred windows, only worse for the overgrown vines and obvious neglect. The architecture suggests these structures were built in the 1920s, but clearly they have been abandoned for decades. In fact, with the dilapidated institutional buildings and the shambling, glassy-eyed patients in ill-fitting clothes roaming the premises, these grounds, though lush with summer greenery, resemble a haunted cemetery. I enter the main building, a great, beige, 17-story behemoth called 40. Erected in 1959, according to the cornerstone just outside the front door, I assume it's the 40th structure built on the grounds since the land was dedicated as a state hospital site and insane asylum at the turn of the 20th century. The shutting and then locking of doors behind me is a depressing procedure that I am already becoming accustomed to. After a brief routine physical, I am shuttled up the elevators with all my see-through plastic bags of personal belongings to the 6th floor admissions unit, 6A. This unit is all male. The building, shaped like the letter H lying flat on its back, is separated by an elevator bank, which would be the center stroke of the H. There is an A side, right, and B side, left. Entering the ward through the half-stroke of the great H, there are several double bedrooms running down the long main hallway. The professional staff's offices and the visitor's room make up the doors located at the top of this hall, nearest the main door, the only door through which you enter and exit the ward. Rounding the corners leading to one H post, there is a formidable day room down one hall, and down the other a large dorm room, where I will be lodged. In a small, windowless conference room, the chief psychiatrist, Dr. Kara, a small, muscular, mannish Filipina, conducts my intake. Never making eye contact, she asks, "Any family?" "Yes, but they're not talking to me." "Any outside contacts besides family?" "Well, there's a girl I used to know who visits me once in a while, but otherwise, no." Leafing through my chart for relevant information, she finally closes the book of my life with the declaration, "You're pathetic." As insulted as I am, I also believe it to be true. Either way, this is my initiation as one of Creedmoor's multitude.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.